given the difficulty on selling when markets go up or when companies go up, how you or your company, how you deal when is the right moment to sell a company when you have a reference price in which they reach, but you don't want to sell? Do you need to be accurate? Do you need to follow this kind of trend? What do you do?
Well, another good question. But think about your question. Things are rising. The price is above the reference price, but you don't want to sell. Well, why not? And the answer is because you're human. Because you're afraid it's gone from already 50 to 100, but you're afraid that if it goes from 100 to 200 and you sell at 100, you'll feel stupid.
But if you buy a good company,
yes,
maybe you are failing on your valuation side, and the company will continue creating value on the mid-long term as well.
Well, that's true. And by the way, there's nothing wrong. So if you remember what I said about cycle positioning, asset selection, and cycle positioning. So what you're saying, let me back that up and put that on there, if I can. Right there. So these are the two things you can do. So what this gentleman is saying is, maybe you say, I only want to do asset selection. I don't want to do cycle positioning. Because number one, it's hard to get cycle positioning right. And number two, if you do good asset selection and ignore cycle positioning, in the long run, you'll do okay. Nothing wrong with that. That's fine. I commend you for taking that attitude. And that's what we call buy and hold. And a lot of people do buy and hold, and they do okay. So they buy here, then they hold here, and they hold here, and they hold here, and they hold here. And in the long run, you benefit from the uptrend, right? That's okay if you want to do that. The question is, can you do better? I believe that by becoming aggressive here and defensive here and aggressive here and defensive here, you can do a little better. So the question is whether you want to try. There's nothing invalid, incorrect about what you say. The only question is, can you do better? And let me point something out. Number one, it's not easy to add value through working the cycles. And a friend of mine in England wrote a book about investing. It's called Simple But Not Easy. The things we want to do are clear. Doing them is not easy. And I was speaking with my son, who works with our family office, runs the family office, about when I was writing the book. And I said, you know, I've made 6, 7 calls over the years, and I think they've all been about right. And he said to me, Dad, that's right. You made 6 times in 50 years. And of course, you know, he's correct. Once in a while, at the great extremes, 2000, when stocks were way high in the tech bubble, that was a great time to sell. Late 08, early 09, in the global financial crisis after the bankruptcy of Lehman, that was a great time to buy. But there was 8 or 9 years in between when there was nothing clever to do in this regard. So in other words, you don't get opportunities very often, but once a decade or twice a decade, you do get profound opportunities. And the question is whether you will take advantage of them or say, no, I'm a buy and hold guy, which is okay too. There's no right or wrong.